So really the journey was sheer volume of people in the house. We have 8 kids, my wife and I, animals, right? And our home was not going to get any bigger. So what our journey was is we need to broaden our living spaces and really try to figure out other ways, whether they be outside or out front, or even inside eventually, to kind of open things up because our family is large, and those spaces, having those spaces is going to mean more over time as our kids grow up. So we thought, there's probably some outside work we can start with there. I had a connection with Wichita Home Works, and just seeing the work that you all had done, it felt like you were really well versed in this type of work and making these kind of experiences come to life. And so talk with your team and learned more about your services, and going through your design process was really important for us to actually see what was in our heads come to life, really. I'm a visual person, and I know my wife is as well, and so for us, having these ideas in our head of, okay, what does extending our living space mean? What does it truly mean? Well, it might mean that we're building a bigger deck. Maybe we've got a covered deck. Maybe we've got like a little area where we can sit and kind of, talk as a family, and actually have, a patio where our kids can ride their scooters around and kind of do different things. We had all those ideas in our head, but it wasn't until we worked with your design team that it became more real to us. We kind of came into a very focused view of what the project was going to be, what elements were needed. The benefit of doing that design was to help us just understand the scope of the project better. But also, we live in a community that has an HOA, and for them, it's also very important that they see what the design is going to look like, because there's typically an architecture review, and it's a lot easier to go as a consumer or a homeowner to a board like that and say, this is exactly the project that we're doing, and this is what it's going to look like in the end. And it was such a breeze to get that approved for that very reason. And so that put it clear as day for us. It was easy to then kind of chart a course for getting that project going and started. And now that it's completed, I can say with certainty that we have extended our living spaces. We can come out here and enjoy time with the kids, eating outside, or just watching them play as we're sitting up here, kind of relaxing after the day, and then having a nice fire fixture as well, telling stories. It just opened up a whole new paradigm for our family and kind of an experience. So the thing that I really appreciated about what Wichita Home Works did is that you brought a team to this project, a team that included a project manager, which I have a project manager background. I know that's an essential role to any project. And having basically a directory of communication of these are the types of people who are going to be on your project. There's different phases of your project, different things we're going to be working on at different times, and that just gave me a lot of confidence to know that we had kind of a project locked in. I knew what to expect, good communication, and so to me, some of those worries early on when you get into a project this size, they faded, because I knew, and I was able to sit back and kind of just say, okay, I've got a team that's running this for me. They're gonna, ask me my input at certain stages, and we're gonna, problem solve together when we need to. And that took a lot of the stress off, to be honest. We had to do a lot of groundwork, right? And so really understanding where the forms were gonna be for the patio, how that flow was gonna work. And, we ran a gas line to do a fireplace out here, a fire pit. And there was a lot of unknowns in what's in the ground, right, when you're digging that out. Through that process, we definitely uncovered some things that, hey, I didn't know that was there. But, and some of that was a little bit unforeseen, just a little bit different than the plan. It was that, okay, we hit a sprinkler pipe, we hit this or that. And, once you know where those things are, it's good, because then you can flag them and you can say, okay, I know going forward, this is where that stuff is. But those are all things that happen in a job like this, right? You're getting into the earth. I remember you say, like, hey, this project probably be around 2 to 3 months, and they're going to tear into your house pretty good. And you were right. But honestly, you needed to. You needed to connect into the foundation. You needed to connect into the beams, right? Make sure everything's solid. And I know for some people that might be kind of scary, right? And kind of opening up and saying, oh, I'm not quite sure about that. But I never worried about that with you guys. So it was just like, okay, that's what we gotta do. That's what we gotta do. Everything else had gone really just great, and anything like just little things like, oh, could we adjust this or that, or could we kind of do, like, your team was like, yeah, you guys worked with me. So for instance, there was some work I had to do with my sprinklers. Once we hit some things, you guys worked with me to say, hey, let's wait a week, let's let you get those things fixed, and then we'll come back and we'll pour the concrete. And so that gave me a lot of comfort, knowing that I could take a bye week, during the project and kind of get some of these things wrapped up, and I wouldn't lose the team, so the timeline wouldn't be all thrown off. So to me, that was really important, is that, sometimes you do run into those unforeseen things, and it will happen. But anytime we did, your team said, okay, here's our options, right? And you were willing to be flexible with me, so that meant a lot. There were some moments in the project where we had to be creative and come away with some solutions to things that maybe a computer rendering doesn't always get exactly right. And then once you're on the ground, you kind of see, oh yeah, this is actually how it's going to fit together. So at each one of those moments, we were able to problem solve together as a team, and come up with a creative solution that worked out well with making sure that this structure looked like it was always there. So I would say the design really close to the end product. There was just those little things that you have to do within a project to make sure that it's structurally sound, it's connected in the right way. Everything else was exactly how it was rendered. And it even got to the point where I was working with Daniel, and probably a good portion of the time directly with him, and we just got kind of a language where he'd even say to me, hey John, I'm doing this, like, what do you think of this? And I was like, that looks great, And so it was cool before he did like that on several other things, right? He kind of knew what my feedback was. So I loved that collaborative feel. Relationships matter to our family, and building long-term relationships with partners. I won't even call them contractors, right? I look at you guys as partners on this journey for improving our quality of life. And so, I know it's a commitment from both sides, right? It's a commitment from the homeowner and wanting to do a project like this, and it's a commitment from your team. Is it the right fit for you too, right? So I don't take that for granted. Building a relationship like that, and having the experience that we did with your team, which everyone was courteous and just easy to work with, and was an expert. And I very quickly didn't have to be too much into the mix, right? I was able to just relax and give feedback where I needed to, but just kind of let you guys work and do your best work. And that was, to me, the whole goal, is just to let you guys do your best work. And after the project is completed, we're so happy. We love this space, and we want to further that relationship. So, on to the next project, thinking about, painting the house now, other things maybe inside in the future. We look at that as kind of building that partnership over time with you guys, and just, staying a repeat customer. We had some furniture on order, because, when you do a project like this, you kind of have to wait till it's done to really know, okay, what can I really fit up here and make it be comfortable, right? So we kind of waited till we kind of knew what the dimensions were, and we ordered some things. The first time we didn't have the team, here the next day at 8 a.m. My kids that night said, okay, we got that table out in the garage, Dad. We want to bring it up here since you don't have your stuff yet. We want to bring it out here. We're going to eat out here. And so that, to me, told me that they were comfortable out here. They felt safe. It was so funny, like my kids, when they first looked at it, they saw the destruction phase, right? We got to tear down the old deck first. We got to, take out the grass so we can do new things. And they were like, what's going on, Dad? Like, why are we doing this or that? And I'm like, well, you'll see, right? You'll see. And when they saw it, they were like, oh my gosh, even before the boards were on the deck here, on the floor, they're like, oh, this looks so great, and they would go up to your team and they'd be like, oh, you're doing such a great job, you did such a great job. And like, my kids are always just like super positive, but like, they appreciated your team. They got to know your team as part of our collective unit here for a while. And so I think that's another thing that you can, your customers can be rest assured of, is that you're bringing a team that works around our busy lives and does their job the way they need to, and does it well. And hopefully it doesn't sound too cheesy, but your team kind of became part of our family for a while, and that was fun. A lot of good relationships built during the project. So yeah. So I'd say anyone considering Wichita Home Works, use them if you want a team to come do your project, a team that has all the roles necessary to complete a project like this. A project manager who can lead all the efforts, handle all the communication. A team that is skilled in different capacities because all jobs require different skills. And I'd say that's one of the best things about Wichita Home Works is that you guys have those resources to bear, right? You're bringing a team and you bring the right resources based on what you're doing. So you really rely on the skill of your team. And that's one thing where, if you've worked with other contractors in the past, maybe there's someone doing something that maybe it was the first time they did it, and that can go wrong sometimes. But you not only bring the experience, but you have the diverse team that has the different skill sets. And having someone kind of own that communication with you as the homeowner, working with you on this project, it gives you peace of mind. And I would say if you're considering a big project like this, work with Wichita Home Works because they do give you that peace of mind and they bring the right team to the job.